I'm so excited to see you guys. Ooh, lots of fun. But okay. Just so you know what we're doing, we're going to do some core spinning from Batts. For those of you that don't know what core spinning is, core spinning is where we actually use a fine center that we wrap fiber around. Like most people use, that I've seen, a very lace weight mohair, because as you can see, if I bring this in close to the camera, see how it has like the halo of fiber around it? That halo allows us to grab fiber that will then wrap around. It is a tiny tricky thing to learn. I will be very honest and tell you that when I first started core spinning, I took the class 4 times. The first 3 times I was frustrated, and the 4th time the instructor said, okay, you're not paying for this class, you're going to get it today, or I don't know what to do. And something that day clicked with me, and I have fallen down a rabbit hole that I love. Most of my spinning is some form of core spinning, be it coreless core or core spinning. I'm going to show you just real quick right here. This is a core spun yarn, so you can see this is a single. It has not been plied at all. Probably maybe a third of the core spinning I ply, but the rest I leave as fun singles because I do a ton of weaving. I do a ton of continuous strand weaving, and these look gorgeous in shawls and table runners and things like that. But this specific one, this was done with half Batt. I spun half from a Batt and the other half from top. So I had a smoother fiber, and then I had a fiber that was a little lighter, airier, and a little crazy. So you can see there's a little Angelina in here. And you can tell, like, this part of the strand, this was done straight from top. In other sections, if I can find it, it was done straight from a Batt, and they get a little fluffier and chunkier. Just because you're spinning from a Batt doesn't mean you have to have thick and chunky core. It can still be thinner and easy to, I can knit with this, and I have. But some of the fun of core work is that, if I can get it off, here we go, is that you can do fun and chunky, which I've used this a lot in tapestry weaving. Specifically, I did something like this where I had like a waterfall-esque look going down the side, and this was my warp. Now, because it has the core in it, I still had my strength, but then I wove around it. So, you know, thick and chunky or finer is fine when you're doing core spinning. Today, like I said, we're going to work from a Batt, and this is our lovely Batt. There is, oh my gosh, stellina and sari silk and wool neps, some merino, some firestar. There's a whole lot of fun in this Batt. And because of the way the Batt was done, I'm actually going to split it almost down the center. You see how I have the teal going into the fuchsia? I'm going to split that Batt down the center so that I can pull from either side of that Batt to add color where I choose. And that's part of the fun of spinning from a Batt, is that we get to pick and choose what we're adding to our Batts, what we're adding to our core spinning and not. I'm going to just take a little strip, and you can see I'm just taking it straight down. I'm kind of peeling it like a banana, and I get my little fluff. It's kind of the same as almost spinning from cloud. So I have my piece right here, and everything that I do art yarn wise, I start with a finer beginning. It allows me to kind of get going with my fiber. I am spinning in my Z direction, in my clockwise direction, when I am doing my core spinning. You may see me go off the screen because I'm going to sit back to spin, but I'll lean in if anybody has any questions. I am 100% here to answer questions, because this is one of those techniques that until you get it, it can be a little frustrating, but once you get it, oh my God, the whole world opens up. So I'm just going to take part of my bat and I'm going to get going. The thing about core spinning is you need to have control of your wheel. You really need to be able to start and stop your wheel. This is not a process that fast feet need to be involved. This is the slow, methodical, you're watching that fiber wrap around the core. And you can see, like, I have my core right here, and I'm like getting control of it where I want to keep that core straight coming out of my orifice. I do have a larger orifice so that my core yarns can go through, but I want to keep that core yarn coming straight, that core thread coming straight out of the wheel. And as I spin, well, I didn't really loop that on there because I was talking, so hold please while I do this back again. Yeah, we'll just go first day jitters. I feel like I'm teaching for the very first time because it's live, and holy cow, let's not do that again. All right, so let's get this back to where we should be. I'm going to open my lead, and I'm going to loop my core thread, which is just a lace weight mohair. I'm going to put this right through my lead. So I've got it like that. Again, I have stripped down just a section of my bat. And the very first part of this is going to be nice and thin. I have slow feet, very important. And I'm going to get control of this fiber so that it's not loosey-goosey. I want to keep this kind of taut so that my fiber will wrap around it and catch on the mohair that's coming out. So again, I am drafting, kind of, maybe you can see, I hope you can see. We're drafting just a little bits at a time. I am coming out very much at a 90-degree angle from my mohair. In Sarah Anderson's book, The Spinner's Book of Yarn Designs, she kind of does it off at like a 45-degree angle, and you can do that. For me, I don't prefer that because your fiber, instead of going directly around, it kind of almost like angles down. And when that fiber angles, sometimes you end up twisting your fiber with the mohair core, and it almost looks plied instead of allowing that fiber to wrap around. So you can see I just kind of started, and I'm doing just a little thin area. And that just kind of gets me started. Now, the wonderful thing about core is you could decide how thick or how thin you want it to be. And it's all about how much fiber you pull from your bat. I used my first finger and my thumb to pull out what I need. And I let that wrap. You can see I'm getting a thicker section there. Almost kind of looks like slub work. But you just come in. I am lifting a little bit because I want you guys to see what I'm doing. I took a larger section out. Now, if I want to come in and I want to do some real chunky funky with this, I will take a section like this. I'll let it go. I have slow feet. I'm going to twist my hand under so that I move backwards, back over what I have just put on my mohair. And then I'm going to twist it towards me again. And you can see I'm creating like my own thick slub work right there. See how that area is just a little bit thicker? And then, like I said, the fun part of the bat is I can choose to change colors. If I want to move from the pink and the blacks and all of this, I can move into my next color whenever I choose, as long as I pick it up because it fell off my lap. Let me get this. And the thing about slow feet, if you use really fast feet when you're doing this and you want to leave a single that has good balance, if you overspin this, you can see this. This does not have, like, if I hang this upside down, I don't have twist in this. I have just enough twist that I keep a coherent skein of yarn. But what I don't have is an over twist that is going to keep this from being able to be used when you're weaving with it, when you're crocheting with it, when you're knitting with it, whatever your little heart chooses. I have fiber hanging everywhere in this room. Good Lord. But if you are spinning really fast and you're getting that fiber on that mohair in a very quick manner, you're going to end up over twisting this. And then your only choice is going to be to ply it to get some of that energy out so that you create a balanced yarn. It's very, very important if you're going to use this in something to create something that's balanced. And there are yarns out there that say, oh, we want to over twist and we want to over twist because then we're going to take all of this over twist and we're going to spin it in the other direction. And so there are ways and times for that. Coarse spinning is not one of them. So again, I'm just going to strip a section of my batt down, set it out of the way, and all I'm doing is switching colors. And the only thing I'm doing is I'm pulling my fiber back out. Obviously, I wrapped it around up here so that it would hold for me. I'm just going to take a little bit of fiber. The halo that's on my mohair will allow us to catch that fiber. And you can see I have my mohair coming down, wrapped around my pinky. Then it comes up over my thumb and comes from behind me. That allows me to maintain a really good grip on my fibers. Okay, so again, I'm going to start right here. I'm going to let that go on. And I'm using my first finger and my thumb to pull fiber out, but also holding down here so that I'm drafting. And I can draft very finely, or I can draft just a little bit at a time. Some people will inch it and just kind of draft along as they go. I find I tend to be I'm a long puller. I tend to pull a lot out so I can see what's getting ready to come around. I try to anticipate what it's going to look like and visualize as I'm going. And I'm like, oh, if I don't want that there, well, then I have the opportunity to move it. This first finger right here that is underneath my strand, I'm using that to smooth as we go, okay? So I'm going to pull down and I'm smoothing. Again, I'm going to pull a little thicker section so that I can get more semi-slub work. I'm going to turn back. If it got too thick, I'm just stopping. I'm pulling that out and then I'm letting it go again. That's the fun part about core, is you can do what you want to do when you want to do it. Now, if I want to get crazy with the batt and I'm like, ooh, this batt didn't have any locks in it and I want to add some locks to it, I am 100% capable of adding those locks in as I go. And let's see, I can just take a little bit of, these are Teeswater locks. And I know some people are like, oh, shameful, but they're so silky and pretty. And I just kind of take these, I open them up just a little bit. I don't want to destroy the integrity of the lock when I'm putting it in there with the batts. But I'm just going to open it up. And again, I'm maintaining my core yarns coming straight out of my orifice, okay? And then I am going to continue going. And I'm going to kind of pull on those locks a little bit. And you can see, like, I just added a really cool textured section to my core. I'm going to pull this out of the wheel a little bit because I want you to be able to see it. I'm kind of going to backtrack so I can bring this in. So you can see right here, I added some really cool locks. So I have a little more texture here, and then it comes down into my smoother areas. I still have my slub work right along here. Okay, I'm going to just put this back on my wheel. I don't want to overspin it. And let's say I want to go back to my pink. It's real easy. I broke it off. I'm just going to spin that back onto my fiber. And it is like, core spinning can be slow going at first while you learn to get control of so many things at once. I think it's why some people like to do the coreless core, because they don't have to try to manage this extra piece of yarn that's in here. My apron is getting in the way and tugging on my core. Sorry about that. But it just comes in. And again, I'm using that first finger. I'm moving my feet very slow. I'm using that first finger to smooth as we go. And I am just going to keep creating from the batt. And again, if I want to create some thicker areas, I pull more fiber, okay? So instead of that little bit of fiber, I'm going to pull a little more fiber, and I'm going to let that come around, still smoothing with that first finger. But let's say I want to go make a larger slug. I'm just going to come back, twist it with my hand, and get going again. So you can see I have a much larger section there now. If I'm not using my thumb and my first finger to pull to draft at the same time that I'm pulling this, I'm at least, I kind of hold back with my right hand and I lift with my finger, with my first finger a little bit. Sometimes that thumb is involved and sometimes it's not. Again, I'm going to spin my fiber frontwards and backwards so that I can create a little larger area. I don't like where that's going. Hold on, there we go. And see, I had a piece of fiber that I just didn't like what it looked like, so I moved it out of my way. You get a lot of control. Now, a lot of times when people are core spinning, you know, one of the troubleshooting problem is, again, they're holding the mohair straight out of the orifice, and they're taking their fiber and they're doing that 35-degree angle, where if you get going, sometimes you get this, it ends up where the fiber rolls around, almost like you're coiling with a thin single around a mohair. And when you're core spinning, that's not what we're supposed to do. We really want that fiber to almost auto wrap as we go around. And you can see I got my wool neps that are popping that just make a lot of texture. For those of you that weave or continuous strand weave, like, this is a great weft on a rigid heddle. This is a great accent for a tri-loom project, or if you happen to be as lucky as I am and you have a square loom from Sprigs from Hill Creek Fibers. These are awesome if you're going to do a poncho. Like, you can just put some accent pieces going straight down through the project. But again, the thing with, like, I feel like sometimes spinning from the batt's a little harder than spinning straight from roving or top. Because if you're looking for smooth, it's a little harder to get smooth work from a batt. It can be done. Part of the reason I like spinning from the batt is because you have the opportunity and more control for placement, where when you're spinning straight from a braid, you kind of have the color wherever the indie dyer decided to put it. And the only way to really change up the color pattern is to break that braid down into pieces, into pieces, into pieces. That's a lot of work. A batt is so easy to take apart and move around. You know, I have that luxury of choosing what part of the batt I like simply by, hold on, let me lock this on my wheel, simply by taking my fiber and stripping it down, just like that. So I have my part of the batt, and if I want it in a smaller section that's a little more controllable, I can pull my batt apart and I can spin with a little bit, or I could have kept it together and spun with the whole section. Now, sometimes I will take my batt and I like all my colors, but I want to add a little bit more pop and fun. I'll break it apart like cloud, still trying to kind of keep my fibers moving up and down. And I will grab some colorful locks that are maybe different than what I'm spinning. And I will come in and I will open these up a little bit just so that the fiber has the opportunity to catch wherever I want it to catch. And I'm just opening them up. Again, not destroying the integrity of the lock at all. I do a ton of lock spinning, and I get really freaked out when people start like taking combs to locks. I know it's a favorite thing of people. It's just not my favorite thing because, oh no, they were curly on the sheep. I want to see them curly wherever they go. So that's always a thing. But again, I will just take the locks and I will mix it in with that little bit of like fake cloud that I have created. And then I will just spin from that. So I just kind of made myself a little lock sandwich, I guess you could say. All right. So again, we're going to come back. I'm going to make sure that I have control of my mohair, which is my core, just in case you're just joining. So I have that mohair core. I have it kind of wrapped so that I can keep this taut coming out of the wheel. I don't want that mohair loosey-goosey. If that mohair is loosey-goosey, I'm not going to be able to get smooth core because I'm not going to be able to use my first finger down here to keep that core smooth. See, first finger, left hand under here, keeping it nice and smooth. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to start with a new color, and I'm just going to let that fiber catch on the fiber that's already on my core, keeping my wheel smooth. Well, slow, not necessarily smooth. Sorry about that. And I'm coming in here and I'm just going to let the locks live where the locks live. If they want to hang over and be loosey-goosey, I don't care. I'm creating a look and fun. I want it to be fun. And you can see right here, like there's some locks dangling. And I think that's so much fun when it's peeking out from a project like that. Some people are not fans of locks coming out like that. But I will tell you, the faster you move your feet with this, like, see how that kind of went around and I wasn't real crazy about how that looked? I'm going to put everything down for a second. And I'm just going to come in here and do a little rearranging before I continue. Because I want it to be fun and funky, but I want to have a little control, okay? So I hope if any of you tune in later, if you have questions, please comment underneath the video or message me on alk&me. I am 100% happy to answer any questions you have about core spinning. It is my jam, 100%. My business partner, Sue, she does the most beautiful thick and thin you have ever seen in your life. When she spiral plies it, it's stunning. I do okay. This is my thing. Anything having to do with lock spinning, core spinning, that's where I find my fun. And you can see right here, I am just taking locks and coming straight around that core because I just want to break up the section. It's the beauty of core spinning. I have all the control. Nobody else gets it. I get it. I love core spinning. And you can see I keep my wheel going at like a steady pace. Okay. Now, if I want to, hold on, I'm going to get that out of my way. You can see like I'm coming up on a section of my fiber that's it's very heavy. All right. So I'm going to open my fiber up a little bit just so it gets airy. And I'm going to pull back on it like this. I'm still at a 90-degree angle, and I'm going to pull back, and I'm going to let it wrap around. Using that thumb and that first finger, I'm drafting it out so that I can continue down my fiber. Okay, if I want to create a thicker slub, if you didn't hear earlier, I'll show you again. I just come down, I turn my wrist so I can go back up my fiber, and turn back so I can come down. And by doing that, I create a larger slub-like section. You know, when you're doing that thick and thin, it almost gives the illusion of slub work. Now for anybody that's going to be around, that's going to Allegan, to Michigan, we will have a booth there. And if you have any questions at all about core spinning, lock spinning, or spiral plying, your thick and thin, Sue and I are there to answer any of your questions. We are all about sharing knowledge. I'll tell you, one of the other things that I will do is sometimes I have in the past made a Batt out of all natural fibers just because I like what it does to my fiber when I open it up. So then I spin it as core and I dye it afterwards. And it is so much fun to do. So much fun. It's one of those things that just makes my heart happy. Probably should have used a brighter color. I didn't think about that. Tried to get enough light in here. This is more light than what we'd have if we were in my studio right now. Plus also if we were in my studio, I'd be sweating to death because that studio is like, I don't know, 87 degrees right now because it is a little muggy outside today. But, and see how easy that was just to switch color? I just literally drafted a little and I pulled back and I switched color. Using my first finger, I'm just smoothing as I go. Always, always smoothing as we go. Okay? And again, with the core, I can make this core as fine or as thin as I like. It really depends on your intended use, you know. Always, always think about your intended use. When I core spin for me, I just know that it's going to go in something woven. So for me, the chunkier, the funkier, the better. Some people like a finer core. And it's gorgeous when you do fine cores. What you can do with this after the fact, I will tell you. Let me show you. I'm going to pop this down real quick. We have just a couple minutes. So this right here. All right. Hopefully you can see this. All right. This core spun was just simply set. It was not fulled to the full effect of like hot, cold, hot, cold. This was just a simple, like warm, cold set. Just because I wanted to keep the integrity of this. Now, this other, let me reach down and get it. Sorry about that. This got an almost felted quality to it because I fully did hot cold on this quite a few times. I almost felted it. It made a very strong core. Like, I'm not pulling this apart for anything. And it just gives different looks and feels. When you felt it, when you actually go through that full fulling process, it hardens it a little bit. This is thin enough where I still get drape. If it was thicker, you wouldn't get as much movement through it. We are at the end of 30 minutes. Holy cow, that went by really, really fast. Again, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you learned something. Remember, you can use anything for a core that you would like. I just always prefer the mohair. Some people use other yarns. Some people use cotton. I just prefer the mohair because it has some good grab to it. Again, any questions, you can post them below and I'll keep a watch and I'll try to answer them all. Hope everybody had a wonderful 4th of July. Thank you so much. We appreciate you in our community so very much. And we are all about helping you guys learn. All right. You have a great day.